We are back for part two of our conversation. We are not okay. I want to make sure we are saying the correct name because I gave it a fancy name, but I want to make sure it has the right all the way across. So we are not okay. Pre-colonial Africa insights. So, if you missed it earlier, it's a very informative situation where I had a few questions for Nas, but of course, time got away from us, so we had to come back so we can build more on what we were talking about. Now, I made a video earlier and I was inviting everyone to come and watch because Black history is just not Black history. Black history, is all of our history. And the more you know, the better you are. And there's so many misinformed people, and it's time for you all to be taught the real, and this is the platform that it will be taught on. So it may be a little uncomfortable, but just know, you know, when you learn new things, it is a little uncomfortable, and it's okay. You're in a safe place. So with that being said, um, I wanted to. I know we left off. Well, we only started. We I said we got through two questions. We actually only got through one, and that is what inspired you to explore and discuss pre-colonial Black Africa before the transatlantic slave trade. And you let us know about how you were in school, and things just didn't add up. So you went ahead and did your own digging and found out some things that you wanted to know. So can we go on to the second question, or were you still building on that, or can we go into how do you think the narrative of African history has been distorted in mainstream education?
Yeah, I think we covered a lot of that in the first segment,
Okay.
and I guess when I go back and I look at what we discussed, we talked about a lot of the bad, the problems, the backwards looking of what has happened to us, right? And while the subject matter is still understanding Africa from a pre-colonial and before the Atlantic slave trade happened, we were talking about how that lack of education has affected us and has got into our psyche and how we think and which is all like problem based. And so I figured what we would do on this side or this segment is to focus more on solutions, right?
Yeah, that's what we have to do because we definitely don't want to get stuck in that hole of just complaining.
Yeah. And
You know.
and as we kind of move forward, if there's things that we didn't cover and it's on your checklist of items to cover, just bring me back to it, and we can go from there. Is that
Okay,
fair?
that's fair. That's fair.
Okay. So when we were talking, when we ended the first segment, we had ended the segment on discussing one of the principles that made um, the ancient Egyptians, whether you call them Kemites or the Kemetiu, so successful to the extent that they had a civilization that lasted so much longer than any current in prior civilizations and many civilizations combined. We said a period of approximately 4,000 years, give or take, depending on how you count time. But 4,000 years is something that is completely
Woo.
unheard of.
Unheard of.
And so, one of the successful ingredients was centered around a civilization where the people were aligned to this concept called Ma'at, right? And so, what I'll do is kind of tee it back up where we left off um, and finish up there. And then I'll get into some other successful things that we can look at from a pre-colonial standpoint
Hmm.
that will help us grow and be successful. So just give me a second here.
I love that. So
Yeah.
again, social media. While he's pulling that up, if you all want to join in, I just shared the link again on Facebook. I can share it again on TikTok. If you guys want to join us, Instagram, I'm going to go ahead and put that link in my profile. So if you want to join us, you must go ahead and download Chrome and then click on the link. It just makes for a smoother viewing situation. Oh yeah, I can add a link here.
Okay.
This link.
So okay, I'm ready here. Let's go. We're gonna go to a time portal for a second here.
Okay, and, guys,
I'm not
and
clicking.
guys, by you coming over here and watching it live, like you'll be able to see his visual aids. So I'm going to share it live now, so you can. I'm going to share it again. Where is?
Okay. Can you see my screen?
I can see your screen. Yep.
Okay. Let me just make it full screen here. Here we go. So this is what we left on. We just touched on the principles, and I'm not going to go through them again. You know, folks can look at the first segment, but it was
Hmm.
based on uh, a moral system, moral code of truth, order, justice, righteousness, reciprocity, harmony, and balance. Right. That was the keys to the ancient Nile Valley civilization, and I would say that it would not just be the ancient Egyptians, but a lot of the the customs and practices and parts of culture from the ancient Egyptians actually came, we say down south or up south, right? Uh, because the Nile River flows north from the Great Lakes region, near Kenya and Uganda, and flows northward up the continent. And so, as mankind, going from Homo erectus all the way to Homo sapien, etc., as they traveled and followed the animals and they followed the river, they also spread the culture from the Great Lakes region to the existing inhabitants to the Northeast African corridor. And um, so a lot of those traits of Ma'at will actually originate further down in the South as we know it today. But what happens when we don't have Ma'at? You know, uh, we have this term called isfet. Isfet is basically bad things or wrongdoing as a consequence, and
Okay.
that leads to disorder. You know, things are not where they should be. We have chaos, confusion, disorder. Things are not properly managed. Um, we're out of balance, out of uh, off kilter. We're not reciprocating. We're not treating people the way that they should be treated, the way we want to be treated.
Yeah.
We're not being fair. A
Very
lot of
true.
times we say you're out of pocket, right? Um,
Or
and you
or,
also,
or we could take it outside. If you have to know what I was watching to know that.
yeah, I know what you mean, though.
Hmm.
Um, but things are out of kilter, um, and we're not on the same page.
No, we're not.
So, you notice I have these chains, right?
Hmm.
And we have a saying that when your life is not orderly and um, and you don't practice truth and you don't have justice, then we're bound, to fetters, or we say, we're bound to the fetters of Set. Set is the archetype deity who is the embodiment of chaos. Set
Mm.
is not the devil, even though you could argue Satan. came from Set or Setuk, but you're chained to a life of chaos and problems. And so there's a number of uh, things that we can do
Mm-hmm.
to get order and balance in our life, because when you have order and balance in your life, you have peace
Healthy life.
and you
Healthy
have
life.
harmony,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Absolutely.
Um, I'll recommend some books at the end. I'll call it food, for the
Yes.
family at the end. And I'd recommend that you purchase them from, the authors or from Amazon, wherever they're made available, because it'll help with growth and understanding this pre-colonial mindset before we were under the influence of Western societies. So I'm going to
Mm-hmm.
pause there just to see if you have any comments, Keith said.
No, I don't. I don't have any. I don't so far. No, I'm looking to see. I
Okay.
don't have anybody who's. Nope. Go ahead. Mm-hmm.
Okay. So I want to also come back to something I talked about in the first segment, when we talked about, what are the things that originate in Africa, right? Um,
Mm-hmm.
that we've given to the rest of the world. And I talked about, um, the salvation of the soul. You remember that?
Yes, I do remember that. I remember
Yeah.
that.
And I
On my
told the
back. On my back.
viewers,
Yep. Mm-hmm.
to really remember two things that I'll remind you of momentarily. This right here a um, is a ritual that was
Can we make that
painted.
bigger?
What's that?
Can we make that bigger? No. Can
Uh,
you share that with me so I can put it in actual in a in a
let's
group situation so
let's
people
see.
can see it?
Let me see if I can just make it bigger.
Oh, how about I make my own self bigger? How about that?
You make yourself bigger. Okay, didn't work.
I
Uh,
mean, zooming
let's
in. I don't
see.
even know how to work this
See
fancy
if I can do
computer.
it a different way here.
Let's see.
Okay.
No, that don't work.
Can you
That
can
don't
you
work.
still see my screen?
I can see it. Mm-hmm.
All right. Let me do this. Gonna have to roll with the punches here.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we can. I just wanted to
All
be
right.
able, people can be able to see it.
Hopefully
I
it's a
wanted to kind
little.
of dissect it.
Yeah, it's a little bit bigger. Is that better to view?
Yeah, but I can't. I
Okay.
said,
Let me just. I'm gonna hit plus on this thing one more time.
here. How about if I do this too? I'm gonna do
Okay.
this.
How about that?
Okay, hold on. That doesn't make a difference. No, that looks fine. But I mean,
Okay.
I want to like zoom in. I can see everything,
Yeah,
but
yeah. But
I'm sure.
we're not gonna read the script on the back. I'm just gonna talk to the story, right?
Okay, all right.
I'm gonna talk to the story of the ceremony of the weighing of the heart. And the name of this, as a reference, this is the papyrus of Ani. Ani is the man who is dressed in white. A lot of folks don't realize that in African cultures, some African cultures, we don't wear black when the deceased has transitioned.
Mhm.
We actually wear white, and so
Mhm.
that's the reason why Ani and even the angels, from a biblical perspective, are shown in white.
So this is a
Um,
funeral here we're watching or a
this
celebration?
is this
Oh,
is
wedding.
a situation where Ani has transitioned,
Okay.
right? And you see a figure. This is Anpu. A lot of people know him by the Greek term Anubis. And Anubis or Anpu is holding a ankh, which is means life or symbol of life. And Anpu was a character who would greet souls coming into existence,
Mm.
right? and he would also be there to greet souls on the way out or transitioning.
So that's really like you hear ancestors saying they seen somebody like somebody was waiting for them. Like people who had came back, they said they seen like spirits waiting for them and stuff like that. So
So, and I want to clarify because a lot of people ask, well, did the ancient Egyptians think that these were real beings as depicted? The answer is no.
yeah.
They embody the character of the animal that they're portrayed by in some of their attributes. And so, because Empu was, or this jackal was associated with the process of death, and when a body is buried, you know, um, the jackal would be able to smell the body that is in the ground, not the person's body, but if they buried an animal
Mhm.
and waited for the process of putrefaction to bypass,
Mhm.
where the meat is not safe to eat, and then it would be safe. Well, he was associated with the embalmer. Um, uh, what do I want to call it? I can't find the right word, but the embalmers society and death. And so the next part of this scene, you're gonna notice that there's a couple characters.
Mhm.
There's Enpu or Anubis, and then up here at the top you see Ma'at, and you know it's Ma'at because she has the ostrich feather, right?
Right. Right.
And what's here is this is where the weighing of the heart is taking place, and here the heart is being weighed against the feather, and so in in life, when you have done, good deeds, remember you did your homework and you brought it in the school,
Right.
and you were ready to take on the next teaching from the teacher, right? You felt good about it, right?
Yep.
Your
Yep.
spirit was light, and that's really a representation of that type of concept. And then it would be weighed against the heart, which would be placed in the canopic jar here. And this is figurative. This is not literal.
Mhm.
So, when we say you have a heavy heart, you have a heavy heart generally because you have a bad situation. You have isfet in your life. Your things that were not done correct.
Right.
And so, if the soul, because Ani represents the soul of the deceased, um, if he was not able to move forward,
Mhm.
he was devoured. He experienced death by being devoured by this creature, which is part crocodile, part lion, and part hippo. Right?
Oh wow.
These are all three dangerous animals that exist in the Nile Valley area. But the soul would be devoured. Right?
Mhm.
And if the soul was able to progress and move forward, then essentially he would be recorded by Jehuti. He's the deity of communication, writing, and wisdom. But he would go to the next stage in the procession, um, and Ani would be brought to the sun. This would be Haru. Also, we get the term hero from Haru, which he's also represented here as Ra, Harati, or like the soul has risen, and he's standing. Um, there's a veil here, and
Mhm.
this veil is partitioned away from Ani, where he is greeted by the deity of resurrection. And the deity of resurrection we would refer to as Asar, and Asar is wrapped in mummification cloth, and he's got the crook and
Mm-hmm.
the flail, right? These are representations of, um, you know, like a farmer would have the flock following him, but it also represents punishment here. And he's represented as a king. He's got the king's crown, the crown of the South, and he is sitting on the square, right? You
Mm-hmm.
know, for people in Freemasonry, he's sitting on the square, and then you have the sons of Heru. I won't get into that, but the most important thing is that this depicts what the Egyptians communicated as the process in being initiated into the system of the afterlife
Jeez,
where the soul would rise, right?
that's a
And then
lot.
and then up here, you have Ani, and he is before the different divinities. Here you have Ra Harakti, you have Osiris, and then you have some other deities that are not part of the story. But I wanted to share that because this concept of resurrection, you know, people think comes from Christianity.
Yes.
And, and in fact, one of the reasons why Asar or Osiris is depicted as green is because he represents renewal, freshness, right? Something
Okay.
that is alive. It's not dead, it's alive. But it's also represented in a black form, a chem form as well. So I wanted to share that, um, with the viewers. Just see if there's anything else here. Um, and I won't get into it, but there's people can familiarize themselves with the 42 declarations of innocence. I don't know. Can you guys hear that noise?
I hear some kind of
Music?
it sounds like really ominous over there.
Yeah, no, it's a music CD that accompanies these declarations. But the important thing of the declaration, I'm going to stop the sound. Um, so what we would do as a group of people, and think about how people think, right?
Mm-hmm.
You know, a lot of times people refer to these as the 42 laws of Ma'at, or the 42 negative confessions, or the 42 declarations of innocence. But if you examine them, right?
Mm-hmm.
I will not do wrong. I will not steal.
Oh, these are the Ten Commandments.
Oh, yeah. So, and these were in practice well before the story of Moses, or Moses would have
So
existed in from a biblical perspective. Go ahead. You
would
say
this be like considered part of the Dead Sea Scrolls?
no,
Oh,
no. The
okay.
Dead Sea Scrolls is a segment of the what we would refer to as the Bible,
Mm-hmm.
and part of the books of the minor prophets, but which is a different time period, a different writing system. I'm not going to show this to you in the Medu Neter, in
Yeah,
the
no.
divine speech, because people wouldn't be able to read it. But this is a translation, if you will, of what people would recite in the
Mm.
morning and say, "I will not do, I will not steal, I will not act with violence, I will
So
not kill."
affirmations, kind of intentions, if
Well,
you will.
the affirmation actually happened at the end of the day. So you
Mm.
go into the day saying,
With
"I
an
will not
intention.
do things that are wrong,"
Mm-hmm.
right? And then in the evening, you would say, "I have not done wrong. I have not stolen. I have not acted with violence." And so when you see, how the heart is weighed against the feather in this scene, it's because they have become, true of voice.
Mm.
They have become true of voice, and they've lived a life that would allow them to move forward spiritually.
Gotcha.
Okay, and that is what the weighing of the heart actually would symbolize. And I think
That's
that's,
pretty deep.
yeah,
So
it is.
that is a few questions. I mean, that really is um the whole narrative of how it's been distorted in mainstream education, not even just in education, but also in church, just mainstream period, fitting a
Yeah,
narrative to make themselves look, better, trying to
and and
whitewash things.
and going back to what we talked about, we talked about in the first segment, we have a loss of culture,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
And so these are examples of aspects of our culture that we've lost. And, while we're talking about the pre colonial and, time before the slave trade,
Right. Mm-hmm.
this is only a representation of what we would call classical African civilization, which preceded ancient Greek and Rome.
Mm.
And a lot of these concepts leaked into the culture of the Romans and the Greeks, and they referred to the same attributes or similar attributes of their local deities based on what they had encountered while in Egypt or under the influence of Nile Valley Africans. And
Wow.
many of these similar traits, and we can do a different, talk on it, is that you'll see a lot of these traits, rituals, practice in West Africa,
Mm.
right? And practice in Central Africa, in East Africa, and South Africa. And they look maybe slightly different, but they all have, common ancestry in concept and ideology.
So I feel like I don't know if I'm gonna say the right word. Classism still back then? Did it start earlier? Did it start back then? Only because what did you say?
Well, that's a loaded. The short answer is yes, there was
Okay.
classism.
Yeah, based on what you just said, it's like, wait a minute, were we going back then as far as like the color, as far as white versus the lighter versus the darker?
No, 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 not at all. They had different representations in terms of how they would paint themselves and what the paint meant. Like I said, green. They weren't
Hmm.
green people,
Right, right,
right?
right, right. Hmm.
Right. There weren't blue people, but Hopi, which is represented as the Nile, was depicted as a blue, right? So what my point was that this classical African civilization,
Hmm.
um, which we were indirectly tied to, not many of us are directly tied to the ancient Egyptians, but there was common philosophies and similar philosophies throughout the African continent that were either shared or similar. And we lost that after the Ma'afa or the transatlantic trade, slave trade, and we never regained it.
Right. Yeah.
And so we think that in order to have spirituality, you need to follow Abrahamic, religious rites and customs. When we had these things,
Well, I
we
mean,
had a concept of the soul.
right, but
And
it's religion. Rely on something, and that's what they gave us to rely on.
yeah, so we had a moral code, you know, which was the most successful, and we had a ritual system to represent, the different stages of life and afterlife. And we had a concept of resurrection or the renewal of the soul or the spirit. So you don't give up spirituality if you follow, traditional or indigenous African culture. In fact, you actually pick up, in my view, more because it's so abundant
Hmm.
once you get into the various cultures, throughout the continent.
It's so I love that you said that, but it's so hard for people. I'm just not gonna say our people. No, I'm gonna say our people. We have been so it has been so ingrained in us that the Christianity situation.
Hey, trust me, even in my younger years, as I was transitioning, my system of going from belief to knowing, right?
Mhm.
And but it's so ingrained
It's
in you
so
that
it's
you
so
feel
ingrained.
bad.
It
We
it does. It does. Like, listen, I love going to church. I love and my job in church is to like do the sound, and like I love to play the music, but I also feel like such a hypocrite because like, and I hate to even go there. I'm about to really probably shock.
don't
I,
shock them too much.
well, yeah, I'm not even gonna go there.
Yeah,
I feel like a hypocrite when I'm in church.
yeah.
I feel like now. Listen, I love a hymnal. Listen, I have. I love all of our Yolanda Adams. I love all. I play all that. I know the words and
Yeah.
all that. And like I said, I like to go to church. I like to go to church. I like the sense of people. It's like a hospital for sick people. But at the same token, I'll be like, y'all are so. It hurts my feelings to see how brainwashed we are, and how comfortable we are being brainwashed. It's like we'll forget everything, but we're not gonna forget that.
Yeah.
Don't you
And
tell me that Jesus is not the way, the truth, and the light. Sorry, y'all.
I won't tell you today,
Yeah, listen,
but we can do that on a
tell,
different show.
tell them today.
Yeah.
We
So
won't tell y'all that today. That's a whole other situation. Hey, Tracy. Oh, that's Gracie. Hey, Gracie. Some of our
so I
viewers.
want to continue, right?
Okay,
Because we dumped a lot in the first segment, right?
you did.
Now, we're rebuilding, or I'd like to use the term, restoration. We're
Restoration.
restoring. We're restoring what we've lost. We're restoring what we forgot. We use the term, we talked about a Sankofa, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's a West African principle where it's depicted by a bird that is looking back, right? It's looking back, but the feet are pointed forward. And so, it represents that we have to go back and understand what
And
we
go for it.
have lost or what we have missed, but we have to move forward, right? And so, my discussion with the family is about moving forward
Yeah.
and the tools that we have to rebuild our culture.
Mm-hmm.
We don't have to rely on other people's cultures. Not to say that there's not good things in other people's cultures, but we have our own, right?
We do have
And
our own.
we have our own, and there's so much of it, right? That you don't really need to borrow from other folks, or you don't have to blacken up something that un- unnecessarily.
But this is the problem that a lot. I was watching. I don't know if I was watching. I was watching either you. I was watching something,
Hmm.
and Tabitha Brown. Are you familiar with her? So she was like a force in the black community. She has like seasoning. She's an inspirational person. She has a lot of situations going on where she gets paid on Amazon. She gets stuff in Target. So she was talking about how, like, if we do these blackouts, how it's going to hurt a lot of black companies. And the guy, I had to look. I see. I was watching a podcast. The guy, he's a conscious guy. He was saying like, I don't have no time for you because we gotta backtrack to go forward, and we don't need anybody like people saying, oh, it's gonna hurt us if we take our stuff off of Amazon. It might hurt a little bit. We might have to come back a little bit and be hurt, but the magnitude that it's going to the amount of money they're gonna realize, like we might be hurt for a month or two
Hmm.
once we realize, like, because Amazon is a big seller. Listen, I'm over here on the struggle bus. Like, it's an Amazon package that shows up every day. But I'm like, listen, I don't want to be over here talking and then not do nothing over here. So it's like we just gotta figure out a common ground where we can get our products without incorporating all these other people who don't care about us. Like, and did you even see like Target bought back there? They
Yeah,
have their
I
whole.
would definitely like to do a show with you on buying black, and but it does actually get us to the next part is something I
Okay.
wanted to share as a solution with the family, right?
Yes. So let's talk
Uh,
about a solution about how we're gonna get
right.
past this whole situation.
So one of the things, and let me just put this up. Um, let's see. I think I lost it. Just give me a second here.
Hey sister, how are you? TikTok, I need some more likes. I thought I had more likes up there than that.
Oh, okay, I found it. All right. So let's see. All right, I'm gonna share my screen again.
Okay.
I'm gonna go to time warp momentarily. So there we go. Okay.
Again, social media. It's the I can see who's watch. I can't see who's watching, but I can see people like that are like watching from the platforms. Um, well, actually, you guys can see us here. So even if you click on that link, you'll be able to actually see what he's putting up right now. Or if you're watching from my YouTube platforms or my Facebook platform, you can actually see the live segment. I'm gonna share it again so you guys can see it.
Okay. So this right here is let me just publish it as a web page. Okay. This is something I have in development. Right. So this right here is a concept of that we came up with uh, to what do our people need over like the next 50 years. That's why it's called Unity 50, right?
Okay, I like that.
Um, so, in the corporate environment, I help companies build strategies and paths forward, right?
Mhm.
On what we can do to improve the bottom line and make profit and stuff like that.
Mhm.
But as it applies to our community, right? There are certain things that we need to strategize if we're ever going to be on the path of independence or nation building,
Yes.
right? If we're not thinking about nation building, shame on us, right?
Absolutely. Nation
So,
building, legacy, all that. Not just now,
so,
later.
right? So, one of the things that undergirds nation building is cooperative economics,
Mhm.
which is, what you started to talk about. And that means we have to buy from us, we have to sell from us, right? We have to work for us, right? Um, and that creates an entire economic system of support where
And it
we
can
don't
happen.
necessarily. What's
It can
that?
happen. I said, and it can happen. We've had this
It
before.
absolutely can happen. You know how you know it can happen?
It's in the past. It's happened with Black Wall
Because
Street. We've had it happen.
I lost it here.
Um,
Um,
up there,
we
Central
lost.
Park.
Here we go. We have, when we look at some of the other cultures, that we live around, when you see Chinese folks, right?
Mhm.
Every major city in America is a Chinatown,
Mm. Mhm.
right?
Mhm.
Well, we've been here longer than, you know, Chinese folks in America, and we don't have an Africa town, we don't have a Nigeria town, we don't have a Somali town, we don't have an Ethiopia town, right? In our communities. And that's something that we need to think about. The other thing is like when we look at Jewish folks or Hebrew folks, you know they buy from their community.
Mhm.
They buy their challah bread from their community. They buy their their wine from their community. They employ each other, and those are things that we have to do as well. So strategically, over the next 50 years, we have to develop this type of strategy and also develop goals that support each of these strategy
Mm-hmm.
items, right? Excuse me, somebody's upstairs. Um, and so, the critical things, and we can all read, right? But we have to have the ability to produce and preserve our own food,
Yes.
right? Um, and distribute that food to each other through cooperative economics, right? We have to have the ability to cure disease, whether you believe in viruses or not, right? You get sick, you need to be fixed up, right?
Right.
By people who are qualified practitioners of medicine.
Mm-hmm.
Um, you know, when you build a community, you remember we had Greenwood, right? In uh, in in uh, in Kansas, right?
Well, now
Well,
I don't know about Greenwood.
yeah, we got to know about Greenwood. It's important.
Okay,
So
let's talk about Greenwood. I never even heard of
yeah,
Greenwood.
so we referred to as the Black Wall Street, many
Hmm.
years ago, and
I
so
don't think that was not. Well, I don't think that was somewhere else besides Kansas.
yeah, I don't know.
I don't know
I don't
either.
know.
Okay,
Yeah, so
so I do know about
uh,
this.
yeah, so but what happened is, we had a community that represented these values that I'm talking about, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But more importantly, once you build the community, right, you have to be able to defend it and protect it, right? I'm not saying
And
advocating you go out and start a
that's
war.
where we usually have a problem.
Well, it's because we've been bred and groomed to be soft, right? So I know if you build a nice house, right?
Right.
If you build a nice house, then you're going to do, and you have nice things in your house,
Yep.
right?
You're gonna defend it.
You're going to protect and defend it,
Yep.
right? And just to be clear, I'm not advocating a war or anything like that,
Absolutely.
right? I'm
Mm-hmm.
just saying that if you build a community, you have to have a means of protecting your community,
Absolutely.
right? Developing institutions of
Mm-hmm.
value. We talked about Ma'at, but the ancient Egyptians had a formalized way to educate through the priesthood, right?
Mm-hmm.
And often they took that information and went into many other countries and civilizations. As Professor Dr. Kaba says, they took the show on the road,
Mm.
right? They took the show on the road. But we have to have institutions that teach our system of values, right? If you think about the things that the Nation of Islam did, you know, um, they were about not just do for self, but educating for self, right?
Mm. Yes.
We have to
Yes.
have
Yes.
teachers or instructors that come from our communities, right? And teach our children and teach us, even adults, right?
Right.
If we
Absolutely.
don't know. But you have to have people from your own community teach because, we talked about the miseducation, right?
Mm-hmm.
That is because we were not in control of our teaching institutions. And
Mm.
it's something that, when we look at Tuskegee, University under Booker T. Washington, right?
Mm-hmm.
Right out of Reconstruction, when we were allegedly freed from slavery, right?
Mm-hmm.
In bondage, he immediately went to set up an institution, the Tuskegee Institute. And that was a institute of learning how to grow your own food, right? Farming and science, right? We don't think that farming is sexy anymore.
Hmm.
but it's
That
it's
depends
not
on who you talk
sexy.
to.
It's not sexy when you can't eat,
Yeah.
right?
Mhm. Mhm.
Or the quality of your food
Right.
is
That's what the
substandard,
quality. The quality. That's
right?
my thing. Mhm.
The Egyptians had a system of governing. They had governors. They had a king. They had governors. They had tax collectors. They didn't just have artisans and people building,
Right.
but they had a justice system, right? And they had a justice system without jails.
Mm.
That's a whole nother discussion, right? Um, and then you know we have to we have to be able to develop. You have developers that come in, right? They go in and buy a section of your town and they develop. And what do? They build homes, they build stores on acquired land. And so, as part of our strategy, we need to learn how to one, acquire land, and then we need to learn how to develop the land so that we have our businesses and homes and our communities on them. And then the last one, we I think we probably have this one down to a degree. We do know how to make clothing. We can make hats, we can make shorts,
Mhm. Mhm.
t-shirts. We have that one. But it's these other aspects of nationhood that we are completely running behind the entire world. And even if we make our own clothing, the clothing isn't made from our cotton,
Oh.
right? So again, it's still tied to land acquisition, and it's still tied to the ability to produce from farming, whether you make food from it or not. So I'm gonna stop sharing for a second and just chop it up with the family.
You
But
know, and it gets so disheartening when I cleaned the camera now that the streak of lights there. It gets
don't
so
get us dizzy now.
disheartening when you say all this because it's like, it's almost just like, you know what? So I get where some people get frustrated and just say forget about it, but we can't. We can't. We have to be willing to be uncomfortable for a little while to go forward. And
Oh, most definitely.
like I mean, in they really have, like I was talking earlier, like we are um I ain't gonna say the only culture because I'm not gonna say, but the only race. I will say that. No, I'm not gonna say that. People of color are so resilient that we have had nothing and come up with everything, and we have to really get back into that mind frame. Like we have to, when we was emancipated, they was really kicking us off off the land with nothing, and we made a
Hmm.
way. But we got so comfortable, and it's just like it's just I have to catch my own stuff. Like it's just easier, it's just easier, and it's just like, you know what? No, it's not, because it's not gonna get any better, and I don't want to be the person that's always and not doing anything. So we really have to bring it to the people on how to do this.
Yeah, and like my from my executive experience, right? In working for big companies and
Hmm.
managing 1.7 million dollar budgets and stuff like that, right? We have the talent to do it. So
Oh,
our
absolutely.
fear,
All of
we
it.
have
Yeah, all of that.
we we have the talent. We have people who have the skill set. We do have a lot of our people who need to be more fact based,
Hmm.
data driven, and led by morality, right?
Hmm. Hmm.
Um, Instead of the opposite. But we have systems in place. We have teachers in place, instructors in place. We have mentors who've done this, right? Or know how to do it. And it's a matter of organizing. It's a matter of putting your pride aside and letting others who have the experience, right? I'll give you an example. If someone doesn't know how to, fix your car, and you buy a brand new top notch 500 bends, right?
Mm-hmm.
And you have experience issues on it, you're not going to take it to a backyard mechanic. I'm sorry.
Absolutely not.
Absolutely not.
Absolutely not.
You're
No.
going to have
Mm-mm.
any problems that you have remediated by people who have the skills and know how to fix a Mercedes Benz,
Absolutely.
right?
Absolutely.
And in our community, it shouldn't be any different. It shouldn't be based on who screams the loudest or who's the most popular. It should be based on what skills do they bring to the table to build a nation, right? And sometimes it just means that people have to take a back seat and put their pride down and say, you know what? I'm going to work with the team until I develop skill sets where I can help the team expand and grow. And that's something that's difficult in our community, but it's something that absolutely has to get done.
And we need to really start with like the business owners, because even like I'm the biggest I will definitely give our people a chance, but I'll definitely be the first one to tell them you the reason why I don't like giving our people a chance. So we have to get better on our end so we can start wanting to deal with each other again. You
Yeah.
know, like we've gotten such bad reputations that you I'm not even like I'm at the point like, I'm looking and then we're bad. Like it's a few major things I want to get done around my house. Like, you know, a few major things and I reached out. And I seen when people read the message and never called back. Our people, like money, like
Yeah, we have to be professional,
we
right?
had to be professional. And this is like and I know some people probably feel like, oh, they don't even want to deal with us because we have such. But you know what? I will give somebody a chance. I will absolutely give somebody a chance, and I'm not gonna beg you. I'm not gonna beg you to give you my money, you know. But we have to get better in wanting
But
people
we
to
do
want to
that.
deal with us.
He say
What?
we do that. We
What?
get mistreated and still give people that mistreat us our money,
That's true.
right?
That's true.
So,
But I, majority, no, I won't. Like,
yeah, you're
I
smart.
mean, I'll say if I get blatantly disrespected. Like, okay, of course, I shop at Home Depot and they're Big Magas, but you get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's not something that's deliberate every day, you know.
Yes.
But let one of them make me feel some kind of way. Oh, what? I'm not
Okay.
dealing with that. So
Excellent. Excellent. So I wanted to get into solution oriented and uh not be fearful.
yeah, we can't be.
We're not a fearful people. We're very
We're
brave.
not. We weren't made
We've
with a spirit of
endured a
fear or faith.
lot of
We
stuff,
have.
right?
We have endured a
And
lot.
so we just have to believe that we can lead again. Don't forget, we led. This is why I
Kings
start
and
with
queens.
pre-colonial
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Black Africa. When we talk about those, the great civilizations of Mali, Timbuktu, Songhai, right? And these empires,
Mm-hmm.
Zimbabwe
Mm-hmm.
and Kemet, right?
Yes. Yes.
These are some mighty empires. Kemet, is, it was so good, you know, our oppressors tried to steal the culture,
Did you see about it's another one, the Wall of Benign,
Benin.
Benin, Benin.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Benin.
that's another one. That's another one.
Yeah, that's another one. Yeah. So, I would love to in the future, have some follow-ups to be able to talk about some of
Listen,
these great
this
civilizations.
platforms, this is all we can talk about. As far as listen, I'm okay with that. We can have some quote unquote fun stuff, but we need to make the culture uncomfortable.
Yeah, and
All of
learning and reading,
it. Mm-hmm.
right? Some people hate you to say this, but
No, you
you
have to
got to
read.
you got to read.
Gotta read. What are
You know,
you
and,
reading right now? What are you reading right
oh,
now?
I'm glad you reminded me because I almost forgot
Yes.
this. So, a couple books that I would recommend to the family, you know, here's one. We talked about Ma'at, right?
Mm-hmm.
So this is called a life-centered, uh, light living, life living Ma'at, and it's by Dr. Riketti Amin. She is taught out of the Oriental Institute of Chicago. I mean, this is like in the university system of anthropology in ancient studies. It's like it's like the Harvard, right? And
Okay,
this is
so
this
so
is this is one of our own. Hold on one second. This is one of our own, right? This is a little book. It's
very
only
powerful.
50
Okay,
pages.
okay.
So if people are intimidated by some of the stuff that others of us read, right?
Mm-hmm.
This is a little book. You can find
So
this book on Amazon.
is it a little book full of I don't know what the hell I just read, or is it an easy read? Because
No,
I
it's a
want people who's
easy.
okay.
It's
I
a
want people who's new to this to be able to read
Yeah,
something and not be intimidated and be like, you know what? I'm not
yeah,
going
yeah. So
back.
I'll tell you. We call it when you're gaming level of difficulty, right?
Mm-hmm.
This is a child could read this book right here.
Okay, I like that.
Okay,
I like
so
that.
it's short. I recommend it, and again, it's a way to learn, and it's a way to support our elders. We don't want to call them ancestors yet because some of them are still living,
That's right.
right? So it's a way to support some of their work,
Mm-hmm.
and then be familiar with their work because they do have other works.
Now that book is on Amazon.
That book is on Amazon, right?
All right, we're gonna post that book in the actual
Yes, I'll make sure
in the
we get
event. We're
together
gonna
and post
post
it.
that. We're gonna post
Here's
that.
another book because I do have three, pieces of food. Um, this right here
Mm-hmm.
is Saba. It's a researcher's first handbook. This is the book, for people who come to my house. I used to keep this on my kitchen table, right?
Okay.
It's that important. Like if you come in the house and you don't ask about the book, what is Saba? What is it? But this book really, the name Saba means instructor, right? Your Saba is your instructor. So this is really instruction. It's a little bit thicker read,
Mm-hmm.
but this is a textbook, right?
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't cost a lot of money. It's about $20 or whatever, right? But the information is invaluable,
I think I
but
want to read that one.
and it's written by a couple. This is Ife Kilimanjaro. She's a PhD in a former professor. I can't remember which university she's out of, but and her husband Taka Kilimanjaro,
Mm-hmm.
right? They're also on Facebook, and you'll see that they have a series of books. One of them, my first book that I read from them, is called Ma'at. It's about this thick though, but it's a really good read.
That
Um,
one's not on Amazon right now. This one you got.
this one, but you can go to their website. I mean, you can
Okay.
go to their page. If you look at, you know,
We're
uh,
gonna share
huh?
that in the groups. I want you
We're
to
going to
share that in
share
the
it.
group. I
So
want you
don't
to share
worry.
the
But
links.
this is what's in here, right? I know we're over time, but one of the things that's in here is it teaches you a method on how to conduct research and validate information, right? Or validate. I didn't say data. You don't validate data. Sometimes you do, but you validate information.
Yes.
So before bad information gets, put into your head and is stored there, this gives you a process to ask
Look
the
at
right
that.
questions to get to the heart of
I love that.
what is valid and what is false or what is we
That
call
is so
falsified.
necessary right now with the climate that we're in with social media and people just posting stuff.
Yeah.
I love that.
And if we were to build a university, right, which we're working on,
Hmm.
even if it's an online university, this is a book that would be a textbook for people.
So real fast, while you're talking about that, like I forgot what college you're from, but there's some
Virginia
professors.
State University, VSU.
Not you. It's some
Oh,
other.
sorry.
It's a professor on TikTok, and they have dubbed it Hillman Talk, and they're doing all kinds of great. They're spreading all kinds of great information.
Yeah,
But I
I
mean,
need
we
to
can
check that
we can
out.
do something like that. You would love it. We can do
I'd
something
love it.
like
Yeah.
that. They have class every Wednesday at 6 o'clock. But
Okay.
we can do something like that. What is this? Can I
So I'm
join?
I'm going to introduce the last book before we lead the people, right?
Okay.
All right, because it's really important This is a textbook for learning the Medu Neter, right? Divine speech. And this is what I was telling you earlier. See, this is the walking stick, right?
Oh, okay, okay.
It's the walking stick. Um, but it's called the Sesh Medu Neter Inscriptions of Divine Words, a beginner's introduction to Medu Neter, right? It gives you the fundamentals, and this is which we call the Egyptian hieroglyphic system, but this is authored by brother Wu Jiao, Miri Ib, I mean Ib, excuse me, Men Ib Iri Ma'at. Okay, sorry, I
It's
got tongue
okay.
tied.
That's all right.
But this you can buy on Amazon, right? Got
Mm-hmm.
a little of a, here we go, right?
And again, guys, we're gonna put all this
We're
in.
gonna put this,
Right. So
and
I have
so with,
somebody on TikTok asking, "Can you join?" Guys, you can't join here. But you have to click that link that I have over here to join here. Maybe we'll go live on TikTok one time too, just so people can talk to us.
yeah, and maybe we can share this, maybe a video on TikTok or something. I don't know.
Oh no, I absolutely will share this on TikTok.
Okay. So for the people who missed, and for the family that missed the first segment, I talked about the importance of, part of your culture is language, right? And it's
Yep.
uniquely and distinctly our own. It's an African classical language, um, and you can get some of the psychology of us, right? Which is going to make us all right. So,
Mm.
a plan towards nationhood, a plan towards, being able to speak our own language, dressing in our own cultural attire, singing our own songs in our own languages, right? Um,
Mm.
I mean, these are novel things, right? But,
I mean, for real though.
this is how we restore culture in our community.
And I would love for you to say again what you said the last time. You said Hebrew was a dead language,
It was a dead language, dead as a doorknob, and it was
so it can be
resuscitated
restored.
by
Mm-hmm.
people who had a passion,
Mm-hmm.
and
I would have
so
never imagined. I would have never imagined that.
everyone loves the Egyptian hieroglyphs, right? But there's a lot of keys in it for our people. There's things that people will see there. I'll give you an example, right? It was one
Mm-hmm.
of the most impactful things that I ever saw. But when you see, I saw a woman and she was pouring out, water onto the ground, right? It's called libation, you know. It's a ritual that we use to remember the
The
dead.
ancestors.
The-
Oh
Well,
wow.
well, we do it all the time, right?
We do it all the time.
We,
We never knew where it came from.
yeah, we never knew where it came from. So, we pour out liquor when someone passes, pour out a beer, pour out a
Mm-hmm.
40, right? But this is something that we've been doing for thousands of years. But
Wow.
we just didn't connect the dots that this is where it came from.
Well,
You
we
don't
didn't
see,
know. We
you
didn't. We
don't
didn't know. We it
see.
was ripped. It was ripped from us. It was ripped from us. So we don't even know where. Like, we don't even know where to look to begin to heal. Or ancestry.com. And actually, my brother went on there earlier after watching this, and they're having a sale. So that's the first thing you want to do is go to ancestry.com so you can at least know who you are. So
Yeah,
then that way you can begin to at least heal and learn the ways of whatever tribes you're from.
yeah. Oh, peace to the brother, Junius. That's my brother
Peace to the
right there.
God. Yes,
Peace to the
yes.
God. Yes, we don't have our flag. I agree. You need a flag too. But before we get a flag, right, you can have a flag and not have any works, right? So, I want to focus on, the things that give us some skin in the game, real skin in the game. Um, Peace to Buster. Appreciate you joining, and
You can see other
hopefully,
people joining.
says Buster.
Where you see him at?
He's in this. He's in the chat on the side. I don't know. There's a couple comments that I see, but I can share them with you. And Kisei, I appreciate you having me on
Of course.
your platform so much. I want to let people know. Right now, I'm constructing a website for the community where I can share a lot of the stuff and some of the books that I've written, and things on health, wellness, self defense,
And we'll
cooperative
be back,
exercise.
guys. Like this is something that can't be fixed in a day. So
No, one and done. No, you
yeah.
don't want to. And
So
we won't fast food the information. I'd
no, yeah.
rather break it up into more segments than
Absolutely.
fast food.
I told you that. I said I don't care if it lasts for 3 hours. I can break it up into 6 30-minute segments.
Yeah,
But
we're
I
just gonna
mean,
lose a lot of our viewers because
right.
we have
I mean,
short
honey,
attention spans.
even I listen. I'll tip off. I'm like, no, for real. But
Yeah.
you know,
So before we cut out, I just wanted
mhm.
to let the folks know, where you can visit me on Facebook. I'm just gonna pop it up just so you can see it real quick, if you don't mind.
Not at all.
Right. So okay, here we go. Can you see my screen?
I can.
So I have a Facebook page called Community Meeting of the Minds. Right. When we say Chem, it means black. So this is Black Unity in the term of the ancient Egyptians. But this is where we have a meeting in the minds. And I do have certain content on here. I don't look at guess who's there?
Oh, look at that.
She's on. Yeah, but we have some things. This is where I share some of
I
my
love them. I
social
love them
media
too.
stuff, whether it's health or wellness,
Hmm.
or it's talking about relationships between men and women and things of that nature. I posted on this site, music, all types of stuff, right?
Okay.
This is
Oh,
more of the
oh
fun
man,
stuff,
Lisa.
right? Shaka Zulu. You got to be a Shaka Zulu fan.
Listen, we got so much to talk about. I mean, like, oh my gosh. Just
Yes, we do.
Mansa Musa and Shaka Zulu is those two right there.
It's a
So
great
guys,
topic.
just know that Black History is not going to end on February 28th or 29th for us. Just
Not
know
in our
that.
shop.
Not just for sure.
Not for
For
the
sure,
cat.
for sure. Oh, okay, I see now
Okay.
what you're talking about.
All right. So how do I get this thing back to you? Oh, here we go. There you go. Well, that's
And
all I have.
Buster's
So
right.
this,
Buster said if you have a house with a yard, you have enough for a small farm. Amen. I'm on it, Buster Bus.
and
That
community gardening, right?
I have, and again, we have to learn how to trust each other because I have not seen that work. I've been a Long Branch now for a long time, and they've had two, and it didn't work out. People
Well,
just
we can even have it where
we just have to get
I
better.
do not want to digress. I need to get off of here before I get killed.
Yes.
But if you have, if you're growing some corn and tomatoes, right?
Hmm.
And I'm growing watermelon and cucumbers, right?
Mm,
Well, there's nothing that says that we can't exchange.
absolutely.
You know, I'm gonna get
Absolutely.
10 pieces of corn for watermelon.
Listen, I'll
Right?
be all down for that. I got some seeds now. I'm definitely about to grow some stuff. I'm about to
But
grow
we
some
have
stuff,
we
plant
have
some pot plants.
workshops.
So. Hmm.
The family, we have some workshops on soil cultivation to grow food. Oh, we can do a lot of fun
I would
stuff.
love to do that soil cultivation situation too, especially since we have spring coming up. We're coming in our season where we should be planting. So I
Yeah.
would love to talk about that. I really would love to talk about that. We need to just put together a schedule
Yes,
because
plant seed. I planted the seed with you, sis.
I got so much information that I want to bring to us. So yeah, but you want to wrap things up for us on your
Yeah,
end?
the way we normally you know wrap up is we say hotep,
Hotep.
hotepu, which is plural for I am satisfied, or we have satisfaction. A lot of times we use it as peace, but it actually really means satisfaction is represented as a bread loaf on the table.
Okay.
Where you're satisfied from consumption of food, right?
Oh, I was
And,
satisfied from this consumption of food. Absolutely.
and, and then the other thing we just say is Shem Em Hotep, which just means I go in peace.
All right, Shem. What is it? Shem Imhotep.
Shem Em Hotep.
All right, and on that note, we're going to end it, guys. So please make sure you are subscribing to all the platforms. We're on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, wherever you see Time Out and Key Say Time Out Key, with Key saying Rodney. Please, please, please like and subscribe. Also visit Nasir's page. We're gonna have all that posted in the group too, so you guys can go and see that. We're gonna have that book posted, the books posted, so you guys start reading. And we just can't talk about it. We gotta talk about it and be about it. We gotta get our ish back.
We got to
So
do. We
we
have to
gotta
do.
do absolutely.
Do.
So
Yeah.
guys, please thank you so much for joining in, and we'll see you next time. Don't you hang up yet. Don't you hang up yet. All right, social media. All right, so I'm gonna finish talking to Nas here.